I have to be honest, Formula One wasn't always my thing. For the longest time, I just didn't get the hype. The cars would zip by in the blink of an eye, and then, silence. A long pause. Another few seconds of roaring engines. Then back to waiting. I used to wonder, where's the thrill in that? It all seemed like a blur of speed and nothing more. But then something changed. One evening, out of pure curiosity, I hit play on Drive to Survive, the Netflix docuseries that has now become somewhat of a cultural touchstone for racing rookies like me. And just like that, I got hooked. Not just intrigued, infected. That show didn't just open a door, it launched me headfirst into the high-octane universe of Formula One. It's not just the speed. It's the tech. It's the machines. It's the gladiators behind the visors. It's the sheer drama, team rivalries, boardroom politics, crashes, comebacks, betrayals, billion-dollar bets. Honestly, it feels less like a sport and more like a full-blown soap opera on wheels. Drive to Survive, combined with a wave of clever branding and outreach campaigns, has catapulted F1's presence in North America to unprecedented heights. While it's true the fan base is now swelling with fresh, wide-eyed newcomers, the teams at the core of this sport carry decades of legacy in their engines. Take McLaren Racing, for example. Since their first race back in 1966, McLaren has been synonymous with speed, innovation, and excellence. From their humble beginnings to today's cutting-edge, tech-infused machines and high-profile drivers, McLaren has not only survived but thrived by staying ahead of the curve, on the track and in the boardroom. You see, motorsport isn't just what happens between the starting grid and the checkered flag. It's a strategic battleground that extends far beyond the circuit. It's about tech integration, fan engagement, brand elevation. In that sense, McLaren isn't just a racing team. It's a case study in how to future-proof a legacy. As someone immersed in the world of branding and communication, this resonates deeply with me. My name is Raja Rajamanar, Chief Marketing and Communications Officer at MasterCard and a best-selling author delving into the evolution of marketing itself. The discipline we know as marketing is undergoing a seismic transformation. Most of the foundational theories we still teach and practice were conceived over 60 years ago, long before the internet, before social media, before AI started reshaping everything we thought we knew about consumer behavior. Today, everything's changed. New tech, shifting cultural expectations, a deluge of data pouring in from all directions. The traditional marketing rulebook? It's no longer enough. We need something radically new. We need what I call quantum marketing. And McLaren, both on and off the track, embodies this quantum leap. Founded in 1963 by Bruce McLaren, a visionary who wasn't just a race car driver, but a team owner, designer, and innovator, this team has evolved into a multifaceted powerhouse. Today, they don't just compete in Formula One. They're active in IndyCar, Formula E, Extreme E, and even esports. It's a brand that's everywhere, adapting at lightning speed to meet new generations of fans wherever they are. And let's talk leadership. Zak Brown, McLaren Racing CEO, is a rare hybrid, someone with deep roots in both racing and marketing. His dual expertise has played a massive role in McLaren's resurgence as one of the most iconic and future-ready brands in motorsport. Now, I have to confess, I wasn't always this deep into the F1 world. In fact, it's only been about 9 months since I took the plunge. But since then, I've gone all in. I binge-watched episodes, devoured articles, fell into YouTube rabbit holes, started following races religiously. What started as casual curiosity has grown into a genuine passion. And here's the wild part, I'm far from alone. I can't count the number of conversations I've had with people who've gone through the exact same metamorphosis. Folks who never paid any attention to racing before are now die-hard fans. Credit where credit is due. Netflix didn't just film a show, they built a bridge into the soul of a sport that had, for years, felt inaccessible to many. Especially in North America, where F1 used to be somewhat niche, This transformation has been nothing short of revolutionary. And it's not just gearheads and engineers tuning in. It's women. It's young people. It's a beautifully diverse and rapidly expanding audience. McLaren, in particular, stands as a beacon of consistency and adaptability in an era when most brands rise and fall with frightening speed. 60 years in the game, and they're still one of the top dogs. In today's fast-moving, hype-driven landscape, lasting that long is nothing short of miraculous. Most brands barely survive 5-year cycles. McLaren has outlasted generations. So what made it all possible? Well, it starts with the founder. Bruce McLaren was much more than a driver. He was a dreamer, a craftsman, a strategist, and yes, whether intentionally or instinctively, a marketer. He understood that motorsport wasn't just about winning races. It was about building something that would last, something that could inspire. And here we are, 6 decades later, still talking about him, and still watching his vision blaze across finish lines around the globe. If we trace back the origins of McLaren's now iconic papaya orange identity, it all goes back to the visionary behind it all, Bruce McLaren himself. During a time when racing visuals were limited to black and white broadcasts, Bruce made a bold, unconventional choice. He painted the car in a bright papaya hue. Why? Because in that grayscale era, this vivid tone stood out on screen like no other. It wasn't just a color, it was strategy. Visibility was everything, and Bruce understood branding before branding became a buzzword. But Bruce McLaren was more than a branding pioneer. He was the full package: a Grand Prix champion, a winner in Los Angeles, a fearless driver with a deep understanding of the machine, and most importantly, the founder of the racing team in 1963. Tragically, he lost his life doing what he loved at Goodwood in June 1970. His spirit, his drive, his vision, they remain the heartbeat of this organization. 60 years on, the essence of McLaren hasn't changed. Back then, and still today, the team represents a daring fusion of engineering brilliance, competitive fire, and genuine passion for motorsport. That legacy was never more alive than in the 1980s, when a Brazilian phenom lit up the racing world, Ayrton Senna. If you know Senna, you know. If you don't, imagine the Babe Ruth of Formula One, a once-in-a-generation talent, a symbol of artistry behind the wheel. He won all 3 of his world titles with McLaren. Sadly, the racing gods took him too soon at Imola, Italy, on May 1, 1994. That day remains etched into the memory of every F1 fan. Senna wasn't just a legend. He was the legend, fiery, emotional, fiercely competitive. We still honor him. In fact, we paid tribute to him in one of the most powerful ways imaginable. At the Monaco Grand Prix, both our cars sported his unmistakable helmet colors, those iconic yellow, green, and blue tones. We finished 2nd and 4th that day, but beyond the results, something else happened. It became the most impactful livery campaign in our history. We didn't just repaint our cars, we reshaped our identity, even if only for a weekend. Fans went absolutely wild. Especially in Brazil, one of F1's biggest fan bases, they were moved, grateful, emotional. Now, McLaren was on top of the world during the Senna years. But after his passing, there was a dip, a period where the energy seemed to fade, the results didn't flow. Then came a turning point, the acquisition of Formula One by Liberty Media, which coincided with my own arrival at McLaren. At the time, I was stepping away from running my own motorsports marketing agency. I've always been more of a storyteller than a technician. I've never claimed to be an engineer, don't tell too many people that. Yet I wasn't new to high-performance organizations. I knew what it took to steer a large team. My agency had over 1,300 people. So when I joined McLaren, the timing wasn't ideal. We had just suffered our worst season in history, finishing 9th in the championship. Our partnerships had dried up. Morale was in the gutter. Our supporters were losing faith. The air felt heavy, uninspired. But I didn't see failure. I saw an opening. A reset. A launch pad. I focused on what I knew best, rebuilding the commercial side of the operation. Because if we could restore the business foundation, we could inject resources back into our tech departments, give them what they needed. A new wind tunnel. An updated CFD system. A state-of-the-art manufacturing setup. We had fallen behind technologically, and the only way out was through smart, aggressive, brand-driven growth. I leaned into McLaren's undeniable allure. We weren't just another racing team. We were a movement, a heritage brand with global gravity. That made it easier to start conversations with potential partners. I showed them where we were going and why it was worth their buy-in. Slowly, the tide turned. And as we brought in more sponsors, our tech teams got more toys to play with. Momentum, that's the secret. The world runs on it. And we were stuck in reverse. But once we nudged that snowball, it started to grow. Now, 8 years in, I can say those first 2 years felt like 8. And these last few? They've flown by. Because now, it's fun again. We're back to winning races. Back to believing. These days, McLaren operates in 2 worlds, the racing circuit and the road car industry. On the surface, they might seem separate. But in truth, they're symbiotic, 2 halves of a singular brand ecosystem that nourish each other. Ferrari, long ago, started building street cars to fund its racing ambitions. We did the reverse. We're a racing team that now builds some of the most forward-thinking, precision-engineered vehicles in the world. Why do people buy a McLaren? It's not just for speed. It's for what the brand represents, a relentless pursuit of the future. Innovation. Boundary-pushing technology. A bold attitude that says, we're not here to follow, we're here to redefine. Not everyone can afford one, of course. But the aspiration is powerful. Our Formula One team inspires that desire. Our dealership network carries that message. And through it all, there's a unified passion for excellence, for velocity, for legacy. Whether you're in Sao Paulo, Monaco, or Miami, the message is the same. This isn't just a car. It's a statement. That's why collaboration runs deep between our road car division and our Formula One team. It's rare, almost unheard of, to see a McLaren road car showcased without a gleaming F1 machine beside it. Even though they operate as separate entities under the same ownership, there's a powerful synergy. The business models may differ, but the DNA is shared. We speak the same design language, embrace the same ethos, and market to our audience with unified precision. Our drivers adore both sides of the operation, and at the heart of it all is our unmatched ability to engineer machines that defy limits. When you're hurling a vehicle into a corner at 320 kilometers per hour, there's zero room for error. That kind of control demands cutting-edge innovation and surgical precision. McLaren's road cars are a direct reflection of the technology honed on the racetrack, arguably the most technically advanced supercars on Earth. From a racing perspective, the numbers are staggering. Over a single race weekend, we run over 50 million simulations. The car is outfitted with 300 sensors, collecting a jaw-dropping 1.5 terabytes of data. Not a single twitch, vibration, or temperature shift goes unnoticed. Nothing happens inside that car without us knowing exactly what, how, and why. Honestly, when I first stepped into this world, I was floored. I knew Formula One was advanced, but I didn't expect it to mirror the complexity of aerospace engineering. And yet, here we are, racing as rocket science. What's even more fascinating is how McLaren is now channeling this data-driven excellence into the realm of marketing. As someone who lives and breathes analytics, it's thrilling. We're leveraging AI and consumer data to better understand what fans truly care about. One viewer might be obsessed with tire strategy, another might crave cockpit camera feeds. With modern tech, we can personalize the F1 experience on multiple screens, television on one, telemetry on another, live feeds on a third. Fans don't just watch anymore. They interact, they learn, they immerse. One innovation that's blown people away recently? Digital branding panels, on the cars and even on helmets. Yes, digital billboards on a moving race car. McLaren pioneered this concept, and while others have followed, we're proud to have led the charge. These dynamic ads rotate during the broadcast, catching viewers' eyes as logos and messages shift in real time. It's mesmerizing. Sure, they add a few extra grams, so we don't run them on every track, but on certain circuits, it's a game changer. Do I see a future where the entire car becomes a digital display? Maybe not just yet, but given the pace of tech, never say never. Of course, while technology transforms marketing, there's no replacing the power of storytelling. Netflix proved that. With Drive to Survive, they cracked open the high walls of an elite sport and made it relatable. What once felt closed off, even aristocratic, suddenly became human. Relatable. Emotional. When Liberty Media acquired Formula One for $4.4 billion back in 2017, they saw more than a racing series. They saw the largest annual global sport, rivaled only by the Olympics and the World Cup in terms of scale. But F1 had barely scratched the surface in terms of connecting with fans, let alone giving them a peek behind the curtain. It was the Wizard of Oz, impressive, but distant. Liberty changed that. Their bold vision was to combine drama, personality, and raw emotion with the high-speed thrill of F1. Not everyone was on board initially. 2 teams opted out of the first season of the show, stuck in the old-school mindset. Where's our cut? This is too invasive. But we knew the truth. It was never about the teams. It was about the fans. Now, of course, everyone's involved. Those same hesitant teams now clamor for screen time. The show emphasized the human side of the sport. The political infighting, the power plays, the rivalries, the heartbreak. Not just wheel-to-wheel racing. If you want the lap-by-lap breakdown, turn on the TV. But if you want to know why a driver broke down in tears, how a team principal navigated crisis, or what really happens inside the paddock, Drive to Survive is where you go. And it worked. We're entering our 7th season, and each one has outperformed the last. It took guts, letting the cameras in, opening ourselves up, but it paid off. It brought F1 to women, to kids, to families. Now I get stopped in the street by parents who tell me, my daughter loves Lando. She's obsessed with McLaren. And it's not niche anymore. It's mainstream. Between 2019 and 2022, Nielsen reported a 10% spike in US F1 viewership, an uptick that closely mirrors the show's rise. So yes, these storytelling innovations are working. But beneath it all, the soul of sports marketing remains experiential. The passion. The adrenaline. The connection. It's not just what you see, it's what you feel. And in F1, so much of that emotion centers on the drivers. They are not just representatives, they are the product. Each race, a driver loses around 2 to 3.5 kilograms. The physical strain is immense. But it's not just about athleticism, it's about intelligence, adaptability, resilience. These men and women are driving at 200 miles per hour, managing battles on track, interpreting complex strategies, operating with over 300 control options on their steering wheel, while communicating with engineers in real time. It's like being a gladiator, a strategist, and a pilot rolled into one. Sometimes, we'll even use coded messages mid-race. If you hear us ask Oscar about his tires, it might be a genuine inquiry, or it might be misdirection. Because every team listens to every other team. We're playing chess at 200 miles per hour. When scouting drivers, we look at 2 main factors. First, can they be world champions? And second, are they good people? Team players with character, communicators who inspire fans and sponsors alike. Because our partners and fans aren't just observers. They're part of the team. And that brings us to the heart of modern marketing in F1: experience. Not billboards, not jingles, real moments. Whether it's inviting a contest winner to stand on the starting grid as the engines roar, or letting a partner feel the pulse of the garage on race day, it's visceral. It's unforgettable. I've seen it firsthand. No ad campaign, no matter how massive, can replicate the emotional gravity of standing in the pit lane during a Grand Prix. You don't just watch. You become part of it. That's the future of sports marketing. It's not about passive consumption. It's about immersion. In a world shifting from awareness to engagement, from passive to participatory, from watching to feeling, those who create the most compelling experiences will win hearts, loyalty, and legacy. Because classic advertising tells a story. But experiential marketing? It makes you part of one.